When was the last time you peed your pants? If you say never, I don't believe you.
Honestly, I don't remember. Like, the only time I was probably, I know it was in elementary school.
Elementary school?
Probably elementary school.
I don't remember either. I was trying to think if there's been a time when I was an adult that I peed my pants.
I got suspended from school because of Josh.
You're going to be there with me in every way imaginable, Josh.
Josh is truly in a trance, yes. I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, these are people's jobs we're talking about, Josh.
Thank you very much. Hi.
Josh walking in the door wasn't even close.
Josh, you are a muffin-snuggling pirate puncher.
Josh is a good guy. We can talk to him.
Please welcome Joshua.
Josh!
We've got comments to go through today. So this might be a little bit different than our previous comment episodes because this time we're going to cover your comments a little earlier on in the episode because one of the comments in particular is going to bring us into a conversation with some stuff that we wanted to dive into anyways. And so we'll get to that when we get to that. As we get ready to dive in, we're going to look at some of the comments that came through since our last comments episode, which has been, by the time you guys are listening to this, been a month ago.
Right.
So we want to dive into some of these. One of the cool ones that we had, Joe Bodner, who has commented many different times. We talked about him and stuff and left an awesome review for us, all that good stuff. He left a comment, but he also left a picture along with the comment, and the picture is a picture of the Goodyear blimp flying close to its hangar out at Wingfoot Lake, and he said, I got this shot while fishing at Wingfoot Lake recently. And so that's a really, really cool kind of tie-in. So do you know what's happened over the past couple of days?
As of yesterday?
On
ESPN 8, the Ocho?
The Ocho, yes.
That's what I was just looking up. I was going to tie in. For those of you who don't know, and I know we referenced it in the Inflate-A-Plane episode, this was the 150th year of Goodyear. And as of yesterday, on August 1st, as of recording, they had the Goodyear blimp race. So for those of you who don't know, they have 3 blimps that are strategically positioned in the United States. And as part of this, they had a race with the blimps, which it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I've seen like hot air balloon races and things like that. And it's basically with these are 3 identical blimps.
Yeah.
That have the same engines, the same everything.
Right.
So it's like one of those things where it's like
the most even race in the world in a sense. Like,
right.
Like, because you think about all 3 of these designed exactly the same engines.
Right.
I would imagine same crew size, all that kind of stuff. So there's not a lot of variation in the blimps themselves.
Right.
And all 3 of them are in essence at mercy of the wind and stuff while they're moving in the air. And so this is about the most even fight that we'll ever see.
Right.
When
like
it comes to something
I'm
like
like watching the YouTube recap. It's so cool to watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if you get a chance, if you haven't already, go check out on YouTube. For any of you who don't know, ESPN has, for I think this weekend, is referring to itself as ESPN 8 the Ocho.
Yeah.
Which is a reference to dodgeball.
Right. Because ESPN Ocho was supposed to be the spot where like all the really obscure stuff was
and kept. So they made a huge deal about this.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad that they had some really cool
awesome.
They had some really cool events that are happening this weekend as of recording.
Yes. So
I would say go and check it out. But
they planned a bunch of different big things like this. So it's like there are things like dodgeball tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also, you know, the blimps. I forget there was one other thing that I had heard about that they were going to have on the Ocho that somebody said like last night. I think Brooke was saying that there was something that was on while we were watching a movie together and stuff. And she was like, they're covering the most like just crazy obscure things that they can find.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm kind of glad because a lot of these, they are sports. I mean, they're wacky, obscure things.
Crazy sports.
You know, and it's one of those things, I want to say the Flag Football League was on this weekend as a part of this.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Which is funny because in the next Summer Olympics, not the ones that are happening, and also the Olympics are starting, I think, next week.
Yeah.
The Summer Olympics.
Yep.
which is crazy. I forgot that this was an Olympic year.
This is the Summer Olympic year.
And honestly, I think COVID kind of screwed everybody's perception of time up.
Absolutely.
With everything going on. So, but anyway.
Way to mess everything up, COVID.
Flag football will be in the 2028 Olympics, or the summer, or no, wait. So this is 2025. So 2029 Summer Olympics. Yeah. It will be.
It's every 4 years, right?
Yeah, it will be in. That'll be interesting to watch.
Flag football. So, anyways, Joe, thanks for sharing that picture with us, and thanks for kind of reminding us about the blimps and stuff and everything going on. Because I think that Joe probably captured that shot somewhere around the time that all three blimps were like up, just flying around together, because they were making a big deal out of the fact that that was when you're going to be able to see all three of them at the same time, which is pretty like this extremely rare thing for them all to be in the same place. And so appreciate you sharing that. Lynette Francis swooped in with a comment when we were talking about the subject of campfires in the morning instead of the evening.
Yes. And
Lynette said, when we're camping, we typically have both. I love having coffee and chatting around the fire in the morning time. And that's a good solid way to get your day started off, in our opinion. Like we talked all about that and everything. You sit around the campfire at nighttime, that's great, but the morning time is the real time, in my opinion.
Right.
I want to get out there, get around the campfire, hunker down in your little camping chair with some coffee.
Especially on like mornings like we've had these last couple of days. Like these are like
cool
perfect.
Outside. Yeah, it's been great.
I told Josh when we came in to record, I said this is like prime fat guy weather. Shorts, long sleeve shirt, like even like a light summer sweatshirt. Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, yesterday we had a golf outing that Marion's Closet, a nonprofit that Brooke works with. They did their annual golf outing yesterday, and when we left the house, it was 55 degrees yesterday morning. But the whole day yesterday was amazing.
Yeah.
It was cool. There was a nice breeze and stuff like that. It was good. Like, it was a little too windy for the golf course for those guys, unfortunately. But I don't play golf, so I didn't care.
Well, and it's like, especially with Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday being 90 and 100% humidity.
Sweltering hot, yeah.
In working in a warehouse, it was so much fun. Like even Thursday when it started to cool off after it rained,
right? And
even yesterday it was a little warm in there, but it was more humidity because you work in a warehouse with cardboard and wood and that kind of stuff. Like, it just holds that moisture in. So
absolutely.
It's going to episode 29. Jared said this is in reference to when I was talking about the hangar. It says, so the hangar that is at/near the Akron Fulton Airport is now a Zeppelin R&D facility. In my previous career field, I installed and service the Haas CNC machines around the state. Then that company had a few machines to build fixtures for the body of the airship. I got to go in and service now. It's where they assembled and build Zeppelins, which are rigid body airships, versus a blimp that is a large balloon, basically.
Which, Jared, that's amazing, dude. That's so cool that you got to go in there,
right,
and see that. Hopefully, you got to see at least some of the structure of one of the Zeppelins, because that'd be. I did a little bit of looking into after Jared made that comment, and looking up the difference between a Zeppelin and a blimp, which I think I knew because of the Hindenburg. I saw some of the stuff surrounding that, because the Hindenburg was a Zeppelin. It was a rigid frame ship that burned up and crashed and everything. But looking into the differences between, so like you said, the blimps that we see from Goodyear are actually just giant balloons,
right,
with controls on them and stuff. And so it's one big kind of open thing in a sense that I think it has some compartments in it, but it's all made of the same material and stuff. Whereas a Zeppelin actually has a metal framing, and then the material is stretched around that and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really
it's
cool.
It's like an outer canvas almost that holds in the gases.
Yeah.
And it has the shapes. And a good example of that is Indiana Jones and I think it's The Last Crusade, when he's in the Zeppelin and he launches the plane. Him and his dad.
Oh, yeah.
I
know which part you're talking about. I don't know which movie.
And then launched the planes. I think that was one of the original, besides reconnaissance and stuff, that from Zeppelins were a mobile to launch scout aircraft and stuff out of.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty cool though. Jared, thanks for that comment, man. Because that's fascinating. And like I said, hopefully you get to see some of the Zeppelin stuff up front. It makes sense that would be what they're doing inside of that giant hangar nowadays. So pretty cool. Jordan McKeithen, who has commented many times before and always adds good stuff to our episodes and into our comments. On episode 26, when we were talking about space facts, he said, if you really want your minds blown, Look up the recent James Webb Telescope discovery that suggests that our universe could exist inside of a massive black hole. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, didn't what was it? Muse had a song about that supermassive black hole.
Jordan, we greatly appreciate the existential dread that you have added.
I mean,
to
at
our
this
lives.
point, like bringing like it's the picture of Cusco and what's John Goodman's character, the villager from Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Where they're like tied together on the log, like giant waterfall. Yep, jagged rocks below. Yep. Bring it on. That's kind of
for sure. It's pretty wild though to think about like that our entire universe inside of a massive black hole.
Right.
But then it also like begs a lot of questions about black holes that we don't understand and stuff. So it's like
it's like
just embrace it.
I want to, and somebody can fact check me and things like that because I didn't have a chance to look anything up. I think somebody saw the evidence of a black hole, and then at the same time, something was appearing in the galaxy at a different point in time. So, like, bringing the whole wormhole theory, and it's like. Space is scary.
I'm not gonna lie. Since I was in like my 20s, that's something that I was kind of hoping that we were gonna see come to fruition or like come to like knowledge. Like was like the wormhole travel stuff. I was just kind of like fingers crossed that maybe in my lifetime we would come to understand and utilize at least once like a wormhole. Yeah. So we could say like, we sent somebody clear across the universe using a wormhole and got like some kind of transmission back. Yeah. Personally, I don't think there's alien life out there, but even if there wasn't, for them just to get to the other side and be like, you guys aren't going to believe what it looks like over here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things like looking back at like old sci-fi movies and stuff like that. One of my favorite sci-fi horror movies is Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Where how they worked light speed travel is basically they rip a hole in space. Right. And they go through it. Basically, like if you take a piece of paper and have a circle that says point A, circle, point B, and then you fold it like an accordion, and then you just poke a hole through there. That's how they travel through space and stuff like that. Like essentially creating a wormhole. Yeah. But so space is scary.
Then you watch Interstellar and just have your whole mind folded.
I don't think I've never seen Interstellar. I know like the memes and stuff about it.
You should watch the movie.
That's Matthew McConaughey, right?
It's not like it is.
It
is
it's
McConaughey.
Okay.
It's not like my favorite movie of all time by any means, but it brings up so many of these concepts of like space travel, the black hole, the whole 9 yards. Like it brings up all these different things, and it's mind bending. Like I would say it's on par with Inception as far as like the mind-bending possibilities of what they kind of bring up in the movie and stuff like that. It's really fascinating. You should watch it.
Speaking of McConaughey and sci-fi movies, like so is it basically just a better version of Contact?
It's a whole different ballgame than Contact as far as like the premise of things.
Well, I guess what spurred to mind Contact was just the whole time delay thing where the ball the sphere gets dropped through the thing and like it happens instantaneously, but there's like 8 hours of recorded footage of just static, and they experienced one thing, and
so no.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this like flat out. I do not understand all of the concepts that are brought up in Interstellar. They try their best to explain some things, but I think that even our leading like scientists maybe have like some like obviously they have a better grasp than I do on it. But I think that they probably, even watching that movie, would have to kind of go, there's some things in there that it may be possible, but we can't explain yet.
Right.
You should watch it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it sometime later.
Like listening to like Neil deGrasse Tyson explain stuff. Like I'm just sitting there like a little kid. I want to know more.
Which to be fair, I think that Neil deGrasse Tyson talks out of his butt a lot.
Oh, 100%.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things he says that are just like.
But he can do it so eloquently.
You're literally just saying that. Like you have no scientific backup. For those claims. But anyways, Jordan also in episode 25. When you brought up the idea of like how do you get dressed, and he said I'm on team both socks first, then both shoes, never tie them, leave them tied and slip them on and off. Ain't nobody got time to be tying shoes in 2025.
I mean,
which
I agree with.
I agree to an extent. I'll say that much. I mean, we talked about the fact that I'm a socks before pants guy,
right?
And so socks, then pants, then I put one shoe on, tie it, other shoe on, tie it.
But that begs the question, though. Would you rather have one shoe tied and something happens?
Yeah.
And one shoe, and you have one tied shoe and one sock shoe. Something happens.
One sock shoe. Just you mean one tied shoe?
Yeah.
Or just one sock?
Yeah, one sock, no shoe.
No shoe on.
And something happens, you got to run.
Yeah,
out
I'd
of
rather
the
that
house.
shoe be tied.
But would you rather have no socks or two shoes, or no shoes or one shoe?
I mean, if I have the choice, I'd rather have no shoes.
Right.
Like to be even. But if I've already got the shoe on and I'm already in the process, I'd rather have it like tied. You know what I'm saying? Than to have to like jump up and sprint.
Yeah.
With that shoe like either loosely tied or whatever on me and stuff. I wear a lot of like slip-on shoes. I'm rocking Hey Dudes right now because that's just like the comfortable way to roll. And so I'm full on board of if you don't have to tie a shoe, don't tie a shoe type of thing. But all of my shoes that I wear, I tie them every time I put them on because I'm also like one of those. I have a very narrow foot. I like for my shoes to feel like they're secured on me, so that I like them to be a little bit tighter. And on top of all of that, I'm also a double knotter. And so, like, if you ever see me walking around with a shoe untied, either things have gone terribly awry, or it's like you've caught me in like an extremely rare occasion.
Yeah. Because
usually, like, I'm like, my shoes are tight enough they feel snug on my foot, and they're double tied, so there's no chance of like me.
Do you use the top eye hole on your shoes?
The very top ones? Only on running shoes.
Okay. I was just curious because that's the ankle lock.
It's a heel lock, yeah. And so, but the heel lock, if you're using it properly, is not tied the same way that normal shoes are tied.
Right.
And so, yeah, like that's only on my running shoes. Like my Brooks that are downstairs right now are laced with it through that top hole, and it's a 50-50 shot. Depending if I'm running in them, then I go through the ankle lock and use it the way it's supposed to. If I'm not running, it's tied the same way, but it doesn't affect the shoe because of the way it loops through that last hole. It just ties like a normal shoe in that sense.
Right.
So, yeah, it all depends. But that's it. We have the weirdest rabbit trails that we go on in this show.
I know.
Yeah, we love it.
That's why this is episode,
so
34?
34. We just keep talking about stuff. But
I was going to say, so our last comment is from our girl, Tori, and, you know, she knows us better than
shout out
a lot
to Tori,
of people.
other half of the Holy Chit Chat.
So I posted right before we recorded our last set of episodes, you know, ideas and topics that you guys want to hear about.
Yeah, like tell us what you want us to talk about.
Right. And it's one of those things where, like I said, we'll do the research, we'll jump down the rabbit holes, we'll get on the list so you don't have to.
That's right.
But surprise, you're on it for listening to this podcast. So
maybe.
So she wanted us to talk about cloud seeding. And this is something that I've heard of in passing and kind of have like I had a minimal amount of knowledge about it.
Sure.
And a lot of it kind of ties in with a few different things. And I don't know if you have it, and I can kind of quick do a quick search if you don't have it that ties into another conspiracy theory that goes along with this. But so Josh and I both separately did.
We both saw this comment from Tori, and we both did research on cloud seeding. So I'll say this, like, because you said you didn't know a ton about cloud seeding before this. I know that I'm a little bit more of an avid listener to Ninjas Are Butterflies, another podcast, than you are.
Right. And it's one of those things where it's like, as much as I love conspiracy theories, sometimes I think the way that they present it is a little too chaotic for me.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
and it's one of those things where, like,
no doubt about that.
Big one that I consume is Red Web, and that is a lot more. It's not necessarily conspiracy theories; it's unsolved mysteries. It's more
factual
of a true crime,
right.
But they kind of dip and do cryptids and conspiracy theories, things like that.
So on Ninjas Are Butterflies, they have delved into the cloud seeding thing quite a bit in the past. But you know, like you said, they're very chaotic, and on top of the very chaotic side of things, they also are, I would say, they lean way more towards the conspiracy theory side of things than a lot of podcasts do. And so I've heard a lot about cloud seeding and these ideas they have behind it. And I know that, like, Andrew, who's on that show, is particularly kind of real hardcore about talking about cloud seeding and stuff. He gets, like, real fired up about it, which, by the way, shout out to Josh Hooper. We have a podcast named Good morning, Josh.
That we would
and you should come on here because
love
we know
to.
you're listening.
Yes.
But anyways, and bring Andrew, and bring Andy, and bring Lily. Bring all.
We'll
of
come
them.
to you.
We'll,
Actually,
we'll come to you.
Just fly us out.
We can record it in your place.
Yeah.
It'd be easier, but no. So anyways, they've talked at length about this, but to dive into this a little bit, let's first off start off with just kind of a definition. I'll give you what AI gave me when I was doing some of my research. This is according to ChatGPT. It says cloud seeding is the process of adding certain substances to clouds in order to encourage precipitation, like rain, snow, or hail. The technique enhances natural weather processes by providing nuclei around which moisture can condense or freeze, potentially increasing the likelihood or amount of precipitation. The whole idea behind this is that basically people are adding things into the clouds in our skies that allows the rain droplets or the water molecules up there to bind to certain things so that they will then fall. And so it's the idea that if it's cold enough and high enough up that the molecules will freeze around certain things, and that creates snow or hail, or if it's in a warmer climate, that they will form around these things and it will begin to rain.
Right. I have the seeding agents. I don't know if you had that as well too, like what they actually use to seed the clouds. Did you have that in your research?
So I have some things like that are listed out, like if you want to list
Yeah, I was going to say, so some of the common seeding agents is silver iodide, most commonly used in the similar structure to ice, potassium iodide, dry ice, which is just basically solid carbon dioxide, and salt, just regular sodium chloride, sometimes used in tropical regions. And these are dispersed by aircraft flying into or above the clouds, and then ground-based generators kind of releasing particles up into the wind.
Yeah, so mine actually had a fifth one on there too, which was liquid propane.
Really?
So this says liquid propane expands and cools rapidly to freeze water droplets.
Okay. Yeah, so like Josh was saying, it's essentially clouds are made up of water molecules, and once they become heavy enough, it starts to precipitate. A lot of times, with moderately humid days, like you'll see a little bit more clouds and things like that. But in areas where there's drought and things like that, like you don't see a ton of clouds or the ones you do see, they're very, very small. So this is basically to encourage those to grow, how seeding like a plants and things like that work.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been one of the biggest things, that as far as when they talk about cloud seeding, the main purpose behind it that they say that they're using it for is for the sake of areas that usually will have drought seasons, to try to eliminate that. And so if you think about places like Texas, Arizona,
California,
California, some of the places in the United States where we know to be more arid climates, where they don't receive as much rain throughout certain seasons, they're trying to utilize seeding to then encourage rain or precipitation in those areas in times when they wouldn't normally have it, for the sake of crops, like growing things, watering different areas that need it, supplying water for people to drink and consume, and things along those lines. So the kind of OG reasoning behind this, so like a little bit of history, is that this whole idea came about in 1946. So it's not a brand new thing, right? No. I mean, this is almost a 80-year-old project,
right?
In a sense, but it was invented in 1946 by Vincent Schaefer and Irving Langmuir in the United States, using dry ice. This is in Massachusetts, is where they were practicing this stuff at. But they were tinkering with this idea of kind of like, is this possible to make it rain sooner than it normally would, or snow or whatever? And then in the 50s and the 70s, there was a lot of experimentation that was going on. That was usually like, it was a mixed bag, basically. There was a lot of success. There was a lot of ambitious claims. There was a lot of failures that kind of went on. And then there was even times in Vietnam, right? So there's Project Popeye is what it was called, that the U.S. military reportedly used cloud seeding to extend the monsoon season in Vietnam, and disrupted the enemy's supply routes by doing so.
Right.
And so there's a long history of cloud seeding that has led us to the point that we're at now, where it's become, the science has gotten better, it's become more prevalent, and so there's definitely cloud seeding that's going on in different places, and there's a lot of mixed feelings around it too.
Right. So I also have like different examples of times that I would say more prominent times that it has been used and documented, things like that.
Yeah.
First one, like Josh said, was Operation Popeye, Vietnam War. Basically, it was to, create heavy rain, cause landslides, make roads impassable. When I asked for like the proponents, like this is in the proponents of and the people against cloud seeding.
Yeah.
Why this was controversial, because it was top secret and it was actually unauthorized by international law. Once exposed in 1971, it led to a global outcry. And basically, I wouldn't say, because at that point it had been around for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
It's not like it was a new thing, but it wasn't necessarily a global thing as far as...
And the technology hadn't gotten to the point yet where it was the type of thing that people were really seeing it.
Right.
And so it was like, back then it was unregulated. It wasn't as widespread because the technology wasn't as readily available. And the people who were doing it weren't talking about it as much as they are now.
And in response to this, the ENMOD Treaty of 1977 was signed by many countries that actually prohibit weather modification for warfare.
Right.
So that's where the regulations start. So basically, this set a precedent for the potential for weaponizing weather, leading to bans on hostile environmental manipulation, and it also fueled public mistrust with weather modification programs.
Yeah.
Another example in 1952, so kind of in its early stages of weather modification, the Lynmouth flood in the United Kingdom. Basically what happened was a catastrophic flood in the village of Lynmouth, England, that killed 34 people. Years later, rumors surfaced that the Royal Air Force had been conducting cloud seeding experiments in the area as part of Operation Cumulus. What?
I just like the name. That's all. Like if you're gonna name something where you're like intentionally trying to make it rain in a certain area, you just name it after a cloud.
Right.
Cumulus.
Yeah. Exactly. Cumulonimbus.
Yeah.
So why it was controversial? There was no conclusive links, but it's a conspiracy theory that this was part of the early stages of cloud seeding. Declassified documents later confirmed that this was a trial occurring around the same time, and obviously the government denied connections with this.
What?
Because
the government denied connections?
It wasn't the U.S.
was...
government this time.
Yeah.
I guess silver.
Hey, just wait.
Hey, finding that silver lining.
Yeah, there it is.
So this often cited by critics as an example of reckless experimentation with unknown consequences. Like Josh said, this came about in 1946. This was in 1953 or 52. Sorry.
You got to kind of get the feeling though, like before we continue on with examples, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to kind of get the feeling of this whole thing is one big experiment with unknown consequences, like
100%.
Like you just said, right?
100%.
It's like, okay, yes, maybe you're seeding a cloud that's over one area now, but there's this thing called wind, and I know that they're trying to predict stuff like that, but it's just like very early on. I kind of, I'm on the team of the people who are probably out there going right now, this doesn't seem like a great idea, guys.
So if we were playing a game, you would get a segue point.
Hey,
the Beijing Winter Olympics control in 2008. So what happened? The Chinese government seeded clouds before the opening ceremony of the 2008 Olympics to force rain early to ensure dry weather for the event. So they did this at the opposite of forcing it to rain sooner rather than later.
This is, you said summer or winter Olympic?
2008, that would be
Winter Olympics, right? Because every 4 years is the Winter Olympics.
Well, every 4 years there's a different
but
offset by
I
2
think it's on the
years.
4-year thing. I think like 2000 was a Winter Olympics, 2004 was a Winter Olympics, 2008,
96.
Right?
Okay, so here we go. So 96, no, because 96 was the Summer Games. That was Atlanta.
So it would have been Summer Games then.
So yeah, it was the Summer Games.
Okay,
yeah.
So they're trying to move rain out ahead of time.
Yes,
of the
so
Summer
they
Games coming in.
They preceded the clouds.
That's a solid joke on so many levels.
I mean, it completely unintentional. Some of the best jokes. Why this one was controversial is the massive scale of manipulation raised questions about ethical boundaries, and critics argued that it could have deprived nearby province of natural rainfall.
Yeah.
And especially during ongoing drought conditions in that part of China,
which is a massive part of my objection to this.
That's what I was saying. Like you kind of tied it right in, because you're moving a natural occurrence, a natural cycle, to manipulate what you want to have.
It's another one of those ways of us as humans trying to play God. Right?
Exactly. So this obviously demonstrated the political power of weather control, but it also raised equity and resource distribution issues. You know, if the government control when and where it rains and disrupt crops, disrupt all this stuff to manipulate what they want, you know, it's one of those things where it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
In 2021, so 4 years ago, the United Arab Emirates, artificial rain and flash floods. So what had happened was the UAE invested heavily in cloud seeding to combat extreme heat and drought, naturally. Arid desert. So in July,
which again sounds like a great thing,
right?
I understand like the idea behind all of this for most of these things, like the one in, was it Japan or China? You just said,
yeah.
That's stupid because they're just like, oh, we just want to head off the rain before these events happen. And that's a really dumb reasoning behind doing something. Whereas, at least with the United Arab Emirates, I kind of understand why they're trying to make it rain.
Right.
Like, at least the intention behind it to begin with seems okay.
So in July of 2021, videos went viral showing intense rainfall and flooding in Dubai, which some blamed on excessive or poorly timed cloud seeding. Why this was controversial, the public criticized the program, claiming it lacked proper oversight, especially when you introduce a unnatural amount of rain to a region that is not used to seeing rain. For those of you who fell asleep during science class, the ground can only absorb so much water at a time.
Right.
This is what causes flash flooding.
Right.
When you have more rainfall than what the ground can absorb, it has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
When you introduce heavy amounts of rainfall in a desert that is not used to seeing rain, it cannot absorb fast enough.
Right.
Ergo, huge flash floods.
Yeah.
So,
like if you've ever noticed the fact that like when it rains, that the first bit of rain seemingly just kind of sits on top of the ground. That's why like when you have tons of water that comes down really fast and stuff like that, if you just kind of think about like if you had a jar that at the top of that jar, you've got sand and then you've got some rocks.
Right.
And like you have the layers of different things and you pour water on top of that. It takes a second for the water to work its way through the molecules, down through the rocks and everything. And eventually it will soak into the bottom of that jar. But it takes time. And that's the same thing that happens when it rains, is that everything stays on the surface until the first couple of layers get saturated and then the water can move through a little faster. And then eventually it goes down. So if you have a very humid environment, soil that's already pre-soaked and stuff, the water will soak in pretty fast and you don't get flash flooding. But like you said, if you're talking about sand in a desert that has no water in it, the water molecules have to work their way down through the sand and into the ground before soaking can happen. And so therefore, if you dump tons of water in on there, you're going to get flash flooding. You're going to get erosion and washing away and all this kind of stuff.
I'm reeling back my tangent that I want to go on to. Anyway, so some experts warn that urban flooding could become more common if artificial rain isn't clearly managed. Basically, the highlights the risk of overcorrection in environments that are unprepared for sudden rainfall.
Yeah.
Like we just said. And then there was a legal battle in South Dakota in the 80s and 90s. Basically, in the U.S., several farmers and counties sued cloud seeding programs run by the state and private weather modification companies, which I didn't know there were companies that did this.
Oh, yeah.
Some accuse them of either causing droughts by taking their rain or causing hailstorms that damage crops if you don't have your mix correctly.
Right.
And you overseed and it freezes at higher altitudes, then it causes hail, damages crops. Basically, farmers couldn't agree. Some wanted more rain, others feared crop damage because, again, humans trying to play God, and it never goes well.
So along those lines, because you just brought up people who are like, there's companies that do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many of you that are listening will be familiar with the fact that there were some big time floods down in Texas recently. Like, so by the time you're listening to this, it'll have been like almost 2 months. But those floods in Texas, come to find out, there is a guy in that area that was doing cloud seeding before those floods happened. And there's a lot of talk now, like this has been brought up because of that this guy, the regulations that they have on people who are registered to be able to do cloud seeding, that they have a lot of regulations on them, but the reporting system as far as what they have to turn in and how often and all that kind of stuff is really poor. And they're saying that the guy is denying that his cloud seeding obviously had anything to do with this, which, yeah, of course he is. And I'm not trying to fault the guy. I don't know him and stuff. I don't know his intentions or anything. But we just know that in this area, particularly like very nearby, that this guy was doing cloud seeding stuff right before these floods happened.
And this ties into this too. Again, point for segue. Court cases question the ownership of rain and who benefits and who suffers from seeded
That's one of
storms.
the things that I have on here is the ethical and legal issues of it is now they're starting to have questions of, can you own weather? And I'm like, how ridiculous do we have to get with things, guys? Like how far down the stupid trail do we have to go before somebody goes, hey, none of this makes sense. Stop dinking around with the weather and just let things happen the way they do.
Be careful. You're starting to think with common sense.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that's the
stick your hand out. I want to slap your hand.
That's the danger we fall into so many times is that, and my dad talks about this all the time. He's like, it's the worst thing to be a rational person in an irrational world.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like to be just even semi-intelligent in a world where everybody wants to be dumb. That's what's happening right now with all the cloud seeding stuff.
100%.
Is like, I trust me, I get it. Like I said, my heart goes out for the intentionality of either wanting people who don't have water to have water, for wanting to water crops. I understand the motivation behind so much of this stuff, and I understand their reasoning behind wanting to do it. But on the flip side of it is, like we've said so many times already, is every time we as human beings try to play God in something, things go wrong.
Right.
And what we're doing is we're messing up weather patterns that have been established for thousands of years on the earth now. We're dinking with those things. And when you mess with that stuff, you throw not just a system off in an area, like you get flash flooding and stuff. We don't know what the long-term problems that this is going to cause is. Like maybe, yeah, you saw short-term that one area gets more rain than it normally does. But in the long term, what if you create droughts in other areas of the world that have never had droughts before, and the people there don't know how to survive without the rain and stuff they normally get?
Right.
Like now we're really throwing everything off.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I don't know. When I went into this, I went into it kind of like, I don't know how I feel about cloud seeding and stuff. And then the more I dove into it, the more I was like, I think I hate it.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things too, and even getting more niche, more, I don't know, conspiracy theory ish. But have you heard the corn sweating phenomena?
Corn sweating?
Yes.
No.
You've been up here for what, 13 years now?
13 years, yeah.
Do you notice that it usually gets hot and humid in Ohio in a certain window of the summer?
Yeah, usually when corn's at its tallest.
Right, because it's producing and like it actually is sweating and producing moisture, and that's the reason for the increased humidity and things like that. Like
okay,
it's called corn sweating.
That kind of makes sense. I mean, like we notice those same things in the South. Like when you hit a certain time of the year when the temperatures are the highest, it's always freaking moist. To use a word that everybody hates, it's always moist in the South. But there's particular times when it gets like real hot, late July, early August, that you notice like it seems like things get just a little bit stickier outside. Right. And I think that's probably something to do with it.
Yeah,
but
which is, I mean, and it's one of those things too where something inadvertently is affecting weather that it isn't necessarily in a natural way because we, have genetically modified things and are growing things where they normally weren't grown.
People just stop messing with
right.
the weather and stuff. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
What did it do to you?
Right, exactly.
So, yeah.
Did it rain on your parade?
Jeez. He's like going to get every pun available in before we're done.
Right.
I do want to say this one real quick because I thought this was an interesting one that AI threw in along with my whole thing about cloud seeding is that many people have tried to connect cloud seeding and chemtrails together, right?
That's what I just looked up. So they are two completely different
different things.
Same.
And they've actually and again, I'm on the side of I'm against cloud seeding. Okay, can we I'll jump in that boat. But they have scientifically proven, and AI will usually give you every side of the argument and stuff. And this one, it says the science has confirmed that chemtrails don't have anything to do with any of this stuff, right? That like they're not seeding clouds with it. They're not, the government's not trying to control your mind.
Yeah, and a lot of like that aircraft are secretly spraying harmful chemicals or biological agents in the atmosphere for nefarious purposes,
right.
Population control, mind control, weather modifications. Yeah, because I was looking, because in my mind they were one and the same. It was just a different terminology.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't used to see all these jets and stuff and the trails following the jets and things like that. And it's like, you just weren't paying attention.
Yeah, maybe so. Because I remember seeing them a lot when I was a kid on the beach and stuff like that down in North Carolina. Like jets would fly over from the military, and you could watch chemtrails.
It's funny
all day
when
long,
temperature affects water evaporation and condensation at different altitudes. It's really weird.
I will say this: I believe that the government is trying to control your mind. I believe that they're trying to manipulate everything around them and stuff, but I don't think that they're doing it through the chemtrails that are coming out of airplanes.
Nope.
I'll just say that much. They've got other ways that they're already infiltrating your mind. Red 40 is what Josh said.
Fluoride in the water. Turn the frickin' frogs gay.
Yeah, I believe there's a billion different ways that they're probably trying to do stuff to us, but I don't think that the chemtrails are one of those. And so, anyways,
it's too obvious.
As we get ready to wrap this portion up and wrap up this episode for the day, just like don't stop messing with the weather.
Yeah.
That God designed the rotation of the earth and the stuff, the weather patterns and everything to be the way that they are. And the more that we as human beings dink with that, the worse things are going to get. I'm just convinced of that.
And here's the thing, weather has been existing far longer than we have been able to manipulate it or affect it.
Yeah.
The earth is a lot more resilient than we are. And
the earth goes through cycles, man. It's proven that over and over again that yes, you'll see some years of drought, and then you're going to see some years of plenty, and it just keeps coming back around.
And you know what? If the Earth all of a sudden decides, hey, we're gonna kind of correct everything, it's gonna correct it on its own.
Well, yeah, I think the next correction is going to be Jesus coming back, and we're all just going to be out of here anyways. But yeah, so anyways, leave the Earth alone, let it do its thing, and we'll just, as human beings, we just need to learn to adapt to whatever weather comes along according to the Earth's cycles and stuff. And let the Lord do his thing, keep control and stuff, and us just be humans and enjoy the creation that God's given us. And if you're in a place that is arid and is prone to drought, maybe the better solution than trying to play God and cloud seeding is just to move to a place that has more rain. So there's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
All right, as we get ready to wrap up, we're going to remind you guys all the fun things that we ask you to do every single time. Go to our link tree. We'll keep it simple.
Yes.
If you go there, you can find a link to Facebook, to Instagram, to all of the places you can listen to the podcast, our YouTube, the whole 9 yards. Go on there, check out all the links. And like Josh says, I'll let you do it because you do it so beautifully about the differences between.
Oh, yeah. So,
likes
make sure you like and follow, and because you can like and follow and not. You can like and not follow and not like.
Yep.
So it's really weird to see the vast disparity between likes and follows. I think we have like 42 likes and 137 follows.
Yeah.
So again, you can like us and not follow us, and follow us and not like us, but why not do both?
So yeah, if you do both, it kind of helps to ensure that you'll be able to see our content and stuff when we put it up. But we'd love for you guys to interact with it. Leave us some comments and stuff. We did comments today. It was a lot of fun. We appreciate everybody that left comments for us. We look forward to seeing more in the future, and we'll continue to dive in. And as you can see, Tori made a comment, and in the next episode that we recorded after she left that comment, we're already dealing with
did a whole
her
episode.
whole deal about what she brought up. And so we want you to leave those for us so that we can dive into those topics as well. So please leave us comments for those. Otherwise, I think it's time for us to wrap up for the day. Josh hinted towards doing this. He was going to try to mimic everything I was saying.
So.
Yeah, there it is. All right. As we wrap up, we hope that you guys have a great rest of your week, especially if you're listening to this on a Monday.
Yep.
And we will plan on seeing you guys in the next episode. We love you.
Bye. You tell me, you're asking me for confirmation.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm
yes. Confirm what you don't know, Josh.
I
Gosh. Hate it here.